Wars information and fun for the news, for animation, movies, games, etc., etc. We are here for you in that capacity. And to introduce ourselves very quickly before we get into the show, I'd like to start off by introducing you to our guests. We have Tracy, the hot nerd girl, and Chinese pirate Andy Lowe, and I'm Mr. Benja. Tell us hi, Tracy.
Well, I am hot nerd girl, and I am on. I don't know. And I do a lot of charity work for different charity groups, and all around nerd girl, and I love Star Wars, and yay!
Excellent. And how are you doing, Andy?
I'm doing okay. I just had a little bit of an internet outage, which I hope you. But hey. The times are good. My name's Andy Lowe. I am the Chinese pirate. I'm a director, fight choreographer, performer, and puppeteer. And I'm happy to be here. Happy to be talking about Star Wars.
Awesome. And I am not even the host. We're all co-hosts here, but I'm the guy, Mr. Benja from the 8-Bit Cubist and various places online. May have met me at GamerCon, I don't know, a while ago. But we are here to talk again about Star Wars. This is going to be a weekly thing that we get out to you. You'll be able to find us on Twitch. Currently, you can find us at twitch.tv/pangeekery. And with that, let's just go ahead and get into it. We'll talk a little more about ourselves as we go along, but let's get into some news items really quickly, and let's just go straight into that, Andy.
Well, actually, do you want to also talk about our new YouTube channel as well?
Oh. I totally forgot about that. See, this is how new we are. We're totally fixing this as we go along. We just got our YouTube channel up and going, so you will be able to check us out on YouTube if you're not already watching us on YouTube. So that'll be YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, page, of course, and along with Twitch. And then at some point, we'll get along the actual podcast. So you can listen to us on iTunes. All that's coming along. Please stay tuned for it. But yes, we'll definitely have more action on the YouTube channel coming up soon. So you'll be able to watch these episodes at your convenience.
Watch us grow. Growing.
It's only episode 2. It's all uphill from here.
All right. Shall we get into the news for this week? So first things up, this is actually, we are in some great territory right now because there are a lot of new Star Wars releases coming in the coming 2 weeks. First thing up is that there's a new anthology book releasing on November 10th. This is the new second volume of the From a Certain Point of View anthology series with short stories from side characters in the Star Wars universe.
I just downloaded the first one, actually. Got that off Amazon, downloaded. Haven't read it yet, but I was happy to. I didn't even know the anthology books existed, so these little short stories are pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. I've read some of the first book. There are a lot of, so just so you know that the Certain Point of View anthology books are basically various short stories that look at the events of the films we know from some of the side characters. So the first book was focused around A New Hope, and you got stories from the perspective of Greedo, from Boba Fett, even R5D4, and many others. So it's a very fun series. The R5D4 story is one of my favorites because it's just all kinds of delusions of grandeur for this droid who basically falls on a sword, more or less, so that R2-D2 can go on.
So for those of you who don't remember that droid, so he was the one that was walking up to Luke in A New Hope, and they thought he was going to be their new droid until his bad motivator exploded. Yeah, he literally just kapow. So,
and now we know he's okay. He's gone out.
So, is this the story where they talk about how R2-D2 and him had like a conversation, like, and how he decided to fall on the sword, or was that was already established in another story, right? And then this is a follow-up story?
No, this was that story, actually. It was just a little short story amongst the stories in the first, that was the first Certain Point of View. So this next Certain Point of View is celebrating the 40th anniversary of the The Empire Strikes Back. So it's now even 40 more stories from 40 more writers about various side characters that appear in Empire Strikes Back. So we'll be seeing stories from the Bounty Hunters Bosk and Dengar and IG-88. Also, a story from the perspective of the Wampa. As well as they actually released one of the stories on StarWars.com from the perspective of L337, basically leading up to the conversation as the Navicomputer to C-3PO when they're sitting there in the asteroid. So if you want a preview, you can check that out on StarWars.com.
Are any of these stories from Greedo's perspective?
Yeah, I think they have a story for Greedo in the first book, actually.
Okay, that would make sense from A New Hope. Okay, because we had one of his people in this week's episode, so I was just wondering.
Yeah, that's right. Our next release, though, so also coming up November 17th, will be the release of the all-new Star Wars Holiday Special. And this is a new Star Wars Lego film that will be released on Disney+.
I'm so excited about this because I feel like it's going to be really, really funny. They're going to make fun of it, but also be a homage to it.
Totally. Well, and it's also, it's a lot of the contemporary characters. So it is around, Rey and Finn and all of these new characters, but certainly paying homage. And it's in this very kind of tongue-in-cheek, family-friendly Lego world where, they're building things on site. There's lots of kind of tongue-in-cheek gags. Yeah.
Yeah, I know we've mentioned this before, Andy and I are talking together, but somehow, you can have holiday specials, you can have all these goofy things, but when Lego gets involved, somehow I just accept it. It's just fine. It's okay. I'm actually okay with Jar Jar, but when I played Jar Jar Binks in the Lego Star Wars game, he got even better to me. I don't know if that's how that's possible. Not that he's a great character, but he's fun. He's cute, and in Lego form, it's funny.
So speaking of characters, though, too, this so we've actually have a number of returning characters. Like we said, it focuses on Rey and Finn and Poe and all the new characters. But we will see some returning actors. So Billy D. Williams is coming back to voice the character of Lando Calrissian, as is Kelly Marie Tran, who will be voicing Rose Tico. And I don't know what the context is yet, but they have announced that Matt Lanter, James Arnold Taylor, Tom Kane, D. Bradley Baker, basically all of the cast from Clone Wars will be reprising their roles for this film. So very excited to see what part they take in all this.
I'm laughing just thinking about it.
And we will talk more about D. Bradley Baker later tonight, I think. The next release we'll talk about is on November 19th. Star Wars Beyond Galaxy Edge will be released from Oculus Studios, and this is for the Quest platform. This is a virtual reality recreation of Star Wars Galaxy Edge. And of course, Galaxy's Edge, if you are
who has a 3D system that I can come over and see.
My friend Jason, and I'm sure he will try to figure out some way to stream it for me to watch. Basically,
Speaking of which, he does stream quite a few things, so we might have to get something from him. Maybe he walks through and you do a little voice tour or something. I don't know. That'd be interesting.
So that's a great thing, right? I mean, some of the things, my friend Jason is also a Disneyland pass holder along with me. So he is a big fan of Star Wars Galaxy Edge at Disneyland Park. There's also another Galaxy's Edge in Florida at Hollywood Studios Park over there. So this is the first time guests will get to move beyond the berm, shall we say? The berm kind of referring to the edges of the traversable land in the theme park. So it's a whole opportunity to kind of expand on the world and the stories and the characters that they've established in the world building of the theme park. Sorry, I'm getting attacked by a cat.
Now, real quick on the Galaxy's Edge. So it's its own property. created for the theme parks, and so we're getting a view of the Star Wars universe from a completely new perspective that was birthed in the theme parks, correct?
Yeah, it's a whole new planet called Batuu. Black Spire Outpost represents kind of the bulk of the traversable area, and there is a whole backstory of how this is, the last outpost where you could refuel before heading off into uncharted space before the hyperspace, before hyperspace became a thing and everyone was like traveling on sublight. So it's like a very old community. There's old ruins of an old alien society that lived there before all the pirates and the First Order and the resistance took a foothold in the area. And all of the stores and all the shops are all in world. So like you go to the Toydarian toy shop and there's like a story about the Toydarian that settled on Batuu and is like a woodmaker and like hand carves all the toys that are there for sale.
Nice.
It looks like you will be able to explore some of those same familiar locations, places that we've seen in real life, like Docking Bay 7, which is the main food eatery there, Droid Depot, which is one of the stores, but they will also be allowing you to kind of move beyond the burn and check out some of the wilds beyond the settlements that we've seen.
So I guess Pachka is the adult version of Blue Milk. I need to make sure I can find some Pachka.
Yeah, you know what? We haven't seen that in the parks yet, but I definitely am down for it. They do have Oga's Cantina there, so they have various space alcoholic concoctions there, but that hasn't shown up. They do refer to their coffee as calf, though, so I appreciate that little bit of detail.
I bet when Disneyland opens back up after COVID, it'll be there. I bet you.
Some blue
I just
shrimp.
See some guy stumbling around, some guy stumbling around the park or somewhere, screaming, "The Force is with me!" Drunk off his head.
Other things that we've seen in the trailer, we've seen lots of porgs. They have like Kowakian monkey lizards. Apparently, we will be having cameos from R2-D2 and C-3PO, voiced by Anthony Daniels, and of course, there will be some Yoda appearances voiced by Frank Oz. So that's all very exciting.
Awesome.
Next up, our kind of last news item for the day. So there have been a number of rumors kind of coming out the last couple of weeks. This is really maybe more of a kind of discussion topic, really, because it is kind of hard to tell what to take seriously and what is kind of rampant rumors. We've heard rumors about a Solo sequel. We've heard rumors about a Cara Dune and Bo-Katan spin-off show from The Mandalorian. There's even talk now about a Boba Fett spin-off. But of course, it's hard. I think we were talking about this offline before. It's hard to tell what is real because none of these things are things that have been announced officially. And perhaps maybe even these are just things that are being leaked out to either be a red herring and pull people off the track of actual things that are happening, or maybe even just to test the waters of what fans would like or want. What do you guys think about some of these?
It seems like a lot of these rumors are, we could do this, but we're not doing it yet, right, type of thing. Like gauging interest more than anything.
What do you think?
Yeah, totally. I think that's where it's coming from. For me, it's like, I totally agree. I think the, teasing, leaking, having the, actors say, "Oh, I would love to play this character." All of that, that's just the new focus group, Well,
I mean, that's even too, right? Like the whole Solo rumor came out of a unrelated, un-Star Wars related interview with Ron Howard, and the reporter saying, "Hey, I loved Solo. What's the chance we could see another Solo?" And he's just like, I don't not want to make one. And that was like it. And it turned into like every other nerd blog kind of reposting this one little half paragraph of an answer to a random question. But
I don't know. That question also seems like it could be kind of a setup too, you know.
Well, and
totally.
Hey man, if I tell him I'm a Solo fan, I'll get all kinds of support, and he'll leak some secrets for me. I don't know.
they've been talking about a Boba Fett standalone for years, ever since they started talking about an Obi-Wan, a Solo, a Yoda standalone. That's nothing new.
I mean, I'm still of the mind that when I watch The Mandalorian, I am watching the Boba Fett standalone, right? I mean, and to a certain degree, it's like, if you're going to do something with Boba Fett, what can you do differently than what we're getting out of The Mandalorian, you know?
Right.
That said, also, there are so many projects that are officially announced that we've heard absolutely nothing about, right? Like, we know the Bad Batch is coming. And I loved that season arc in season 7 of Clone Wars. But we haven't seen any test animation. We haven't heard any teasers. I don't even know if we have a release date yet for that. There's also, of course, the Obi-Wan series, which we know is in development and is set to start shooting. The Cassian Andor K2SO series doesn't even have a name yet, and they announced that with the Disney Plus launch way back, almost 2 years ago. There's also the Leslie Headland female-driven series for Disney Plus that was announced that has no announcements or nothing attached to that yet. And then, of course, there's all the feature film projects. Of course, we know Taika Waititi's doing a Star Wars. Kevin Feige's doing a Star Wars. Rian Johnson still is on the slate officially. He has not been let go from his project. And they also offered a project to J.D. Dillard. So, and none of those feature film projects have any details attached to them, but they're out there.
So what's interesting to me, I guess, is the way they're timing all this stuff out. Like you alluded to before, some of them could just be red herrings. Some of it could be focus group testing to see what they should put their efforts into. And as we also spoke about last time, Lucasfilm is also working on other projects like the Willow project. So right. The thing is, right now we're in a situation where we've got 6 more episodes of The Mandalorian to go. It's an 8-episode season, I believe, right?
Right.
We've got 6 more episodes to go. And if you're looking at it from a marketing and branding standpoint, you kind of want to let that ride for a little bit. And then towards the end of it, start saying, oh, we're not done. Here's something that's coming up next.
Right.
So I'm not too surprised that they're keeping it close to the vest and quiet. But I am definitely interested to see what they start teasing out as the end of 2020 rolls around.
Totally. Well, and of course, it's not like there will be a dearth of Star Wars. There's still all the High Republic releases that will be on books and comics coming in January. So there's a lot out there.
All right. Star
Wars keeps on delivering. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
Especially since Disney.
Yes, they keep on.
If you have any other scoops, rumors, or stories that you would like us to respond to, please leave them for us in the chat or send them to us via our social medias, and we will comment on them next week.
Thank you, Andy. And speaking of news, there's one very important news bit. Tracy has acquired something very special. We have to stop for a moment and focus on this because this is serious business right here. And the cuteness overload, I can't even... Go ahead, Tracy. You know what you're talking about.
So I have waited a long time, and I have watched a lot of my friends adopt children. And I decided that I was going to look into it. And I was surprised because for $18, you can get this delightful egg made by Mattel that comes with...
Do not fall.
This adorable baby Yoda. He doesn't have any feet though. Like it's just sort of like blank thing, which no, don't get me wrong. My friend Sean actually 3D printed feet for his. He's got like 4 of these. And if you open him up, he's very squishy. His body is very comfy, but his head and his hands are not comfy at all. Like this, I almost poked my eyeball out. I was like, oh God.
You'll put your eye out, kid.
I know. Like in this show, I'm like watching his ear flopping all around Mando, Jin, and I'm like, flop on me. Oh, cuddle. No. But he's very cute. And for $18, I mean, you can't really beat that. Look at this.
So why did you choose this Baby Yoda over any of the others? Because they have like the full plush one, they have like the animatronic one, they have like.
I am poor, and so I picked the $18 one because I figured that he was just as cuddly and cute. And I mean, my friend Colleen crocheted this for me. This one I've had since season 1, and I love this Baby Yoda. It's very sweet. He fits right in front of my microphone. But this one looks just like the one from the show, and I like it very much. And I kind of appreciate that it doesn't have feet because you see him walk. We've seen him walk now, and you can't see his
waddles.
Yeah, he just sort of is like hovering on the ground. I don't know. But it's very cute. I do wish that the egg that it came with was something that you could actually hover next to you, but that's okay. I mean, you could use it as a display, but I want it to hover next to me, and for $18, they do not include that feature. So, but yeah, he does look pretty cute.
Is there a run on those? I mean, I don't know how if there's just like a lot of them, or is it a limited edition kind of thing?
I was talking to our friend Nathan, and he said that he made sure he bought his before he went out of town because he thought that they were going to sell out. But I didn't know. I just bought it. Oh, he's got a little hoodie.
So where did you go to purchase?
I got this just on Amazon.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Just wondering if it's in stores or.
I'm sure it is. It's Mattel, so the same company that makes Barbie and Hot Wheels and all that.
Looks like we have a question from Tarn Solo asking, have you seen the one from Sideshow Collectibles?
I have seen it. And it's and I will say that one is really nice, but I think that this one's cuter because the one from Sideshow Collectibles, it's almost like it's the forehead ridges are a little too intense for me. It looks like Baby Yoda. No, it looks like Yoda and Baby Yoda had a Baby Yoda. Is that a thing? Had like a teenage Yoda. Gave birth to a teenage Yoda for the Sideshow Collectibles one. But so I think this one's cuter. But thank you for the question. I'm just going to do the rest of the show like this. Is that okay?
That's okay.
We got to figure out how much that is in terms of calamari flan.
I know. How many Beskar bricks?
Yes.
How many Imperial credits?
Beskar bricks.
But for $18, you too can have a Baby Yoda and adopt a child.
Yeah, that's going into this holiday season. We're definitely going to be getting a lot of. Well, I hope we're getting some pretty cool things coming around. I know the Lego series have started to get released, so we'll see more of that, I suppose. And
actually, I don't know if you guys saw on the Instagram, but we reposted someone's pretty incredible build of. They did a Lego version of Cobb Vanth on his speeder bike, which is pretty great.
That was cool.
So check out our Instagram. You can take a look at that and follow. I think it's KT Bricks for more of his builds.
We're having technical difficulties, guys. Technical difficulties. Okay, hi, I'm back.
Welcome back. So we're going to stay with you, Tracy, for a bit because we're rolling off into our Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 2 response. So we've been following this, and we're going to follow it every week until the whole series ends. So every week we want to just go give a quick recap, response, and we'll talk about the episode and get into a little bit of the background and the nitty gritty of it. So Tracy, you think you had some things prepared?
Well, shall we just go through kind of the basics before we get into spoiler spoiler?
Oh yeah.
First?
Yeah.
Let's do
All right,
this.
so our quick synopsis.
You're doing the basic parts then.
Yes, yeah. So our quick synopsis of the episode. So this is episode 2 of season 2, chapter 10, known as The Passenger. So after fighting off some raiders, Mando gets a lead. He's asked to bring a passenger to her home on the estuary moon of Trask. In exchange for safe passage, she'll direct him to the location of a Mandalorian covert she knows of. She's carrying her own precious cargo that is so engines only, a very slow ride off to her home world. It's a long, slow flight until they encounter dangers both over and deep within a frozen planet that happens to be within Din Djarin. And to have the... I don't even understand what did I write here? Over a frozen planet that is danger to Din Djarin and
between
his passenger. Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's episode 2. So
it's a long, slow flight until they encounter dangers both over and deep within a frozen planet that happens to be between Din Djarin and his pursuers.
You're
welcome.
So our quick review,
Too much.
Still spoiler free. Spoiler free. What did you guys think about the episode?
I dug it. It's falling into this interesting category to me of it feels like a Saturday morning cartoon. How's that? You've got this thing that shows up weekly, you watch it, it's just a fun little adventure as opposed to this strong serial that we've been expecting from streaming shows. You can't binge it. You just pop in every week, sit down, enjoy it, and do like we're doing, talk about it online and with your friends. So I really enjoyed it. Simple, fun. It keeps my expectations regular. So I was digging it.
See, you shouldn't have to keep your expectations regular. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. Oh, good. Okay. I feel like you shouldn't have to keep your expectations regular. For me, this was a filler episode in many ways. I had mixed feelings about it. There were things that I liked and things that I didn't that I'll go over in a minute in the more spoilery section. But I felt like this week's slop is going to make next week's souffle. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know that
so
you
for
don't.
me, I feel like
I know what you're going to say,
me,
Andy.
I think filler. Well, I think filler is unfair. I think there's a lot happening in this episode. I actually really enjoy, as we are exploring various genres that the Mandalorian can play in. This is our first horror episode that we've had in season 1 or season 2. And so there's a lot of genre plays in that realm that we're playing with. There are homages to Ridley Scott. There are homages to plenty of other things that we've seen before in this episode. And yes, I think it's debatable whether or not there is broader impact to the overarching story. I think we'll have to wait and see, because it did very much feel to me like it's act 1 of an arc. We are seeing some great performances, and honestly, it's like we have 2 main characters that are in either an animatronic puppeteered face or in a mask, which is amazing to me that I can... that when I stop and go, I am fearful for these characters, and I don't see a single real face. Go ahead.
Question though, if a season is only 8 episodes, is there really a place for a filler episode, or
No.
Again, I still counter the idea: is it filler or is it character development? And we can get into that as we get past the spoiler warning. But I mean, I think there's plenty of room and importance to taking these moments when we can breathe and getting to know the characters and where they're at and checking in with them after they've been through all kinds of trauma.
All right.
With that,
to be clear,
shall we get into the...
Hold on. Well,
Oh.
Sure. I mean, we can go ahead and get on into that. But I just wanted to say that I think it's a fine episode. But I guess what I was referring to with the expectations is spoilers from the last episode. Here we go. You left on a cliffhanger, and then you have a situation where you're not going to follow up with that in the way that people would expect. So if you put expectations out there, then setup leads to expectations. So they're doing something intentionally, and I'm not sure how exactly it's playing out with the audience, but I enjoyed it as a singular episode. I have questions about where they're going. I guess that's all I'll say about that.
I would say that. I would agree with that.
I mean, we still don't know whose Spurs. We still don't know whose Spurs jingled next to the Fennec Shan's body. Playing long game, man.
Right? Thank you. It could have been Cobb Vanth or Boba Fett. Thank you.
We'll find out. Anyways, at this point, I think we can go. This is our spoiler warning. So if you have not watched the episode, pause right here and then come back and watch us. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're just gesturing. Sorry.
Sorry, I cut it.
Yes.
An old Full House reference.
So you have been forewarned. There'll be spoilers from here on.
Yes, there are spoilers. Okay, this is where I start to take a little bit of a deep dive. Although I didn't feel like there was as many Easter eggs in this episode as there have been in most of the previous episodes, but we can get into it. Okay, so this was written by Jon Favreau, so I do think that there is something to the theory that it is leading to something bigger, which is why I kind of said I hope that this week's slop creates next week's souffle, and that it's leading to something.
So
I still
mean.
have a hard time with what I feel like are. I'm not though. I know. Okay. Because it's not maybe the ingredients. It's not slop, it's the ingredients. You see, I'm thinking of all these alien planets and like people eating gross stuff. So that's why I'm thinking of slop as opposed to like ingredients. But anyway, I digress. And okay. And of course, it was directed by Peyton Reed. And so we get some, who directed Ant-Man. So we get Dr. Mandible, who is like this ant-like alien, who we did see in the first season in the cantina.
Well, and actually, I think our frog lady was also in that episode too, as just one of the denizens of the Mos Eisley cantina. Yeah,
either her or husband. We don't know for sure, but
fair. Actually, I just want to call out. I mean, I love that it's like there's an ant. There's an ant. There's a puppeted ant on screen, and of course, I usually watch with the captions just because I want to be able to check dialogue. It's like Dr. Mandible. I'm like, that is hysterical. I love that his name is Dr. Mandible.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Dr. Mandible and Frog Lady, like that was their characters.
Actually, my favorite caption of the whole episode is Frog Lady speaks frog.
I know. Sometimes I always watch with the captions on as well, and I love those little gems that a lot of people don't see. But I do think that it was kind of throwing every cheesy alien species we can into one episode. I like it when they're a little bit more spread out and not necessarily so concentrated. But I definitely appreciated the ant in the Ant-Man director episode.
Yes.
Like I said, I kind of felt like it was a filler episode in a lot of ways. I loved the very, very beginning with what were they, like raiders or something?
I mean, we don't really know. That's an interesting thing, right? We don't know if they're just other bounty hunters who have a fob, or if they were maybe hired by Boba Fett, or if they were just desert. I mean, we really don't know who they were. And so that was an interesting detail that I thought was left out.
Because that's total speculation.
It seemed like they were thieves because the one just wanted something in return.
So,
well, if we're talking about a continuing story,
anyway, but so
idea that he's being chased. So,
well, and also the other thing that I thought about is not just that he's being chased, But the fact that he has to walk from wherever in the middle of the desert he was to get to Mos Eisley means that, in theory, a guy on a bantha could probably be tracking him. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? That this is that little
True.
moment right there.
Can you imagine walking through the desert? Oh.
I mean that this little moment could be the groundwork for Boba Fett is tracking him for the rest of the series.
Okay.
That's speculation, but
I feel like he would have seen I feel like he would have seen a bantha though. They're pretty big.
maybe. But he's Boba Fett. Greatest bounty hunter in the galaxy.
Can you imagine walking through the desert in Beskar?
It's all air conditioned. I saw the little nodes and fan belts and things inside his armor. We saw that in the first season, so I'm sure he's pretty cooled off in there. We have a comment from Ring Capacity. Thank you, Ring Capacity, for the comment. The thing I loved about season 1 was that episodes 1 through 6 were episodic, each playing with tropes and leading to the 7 to 8 world building. This season feels like it's on the same trajectory.
I would agree.
Yeah, last season was kind of Monster of the Week in a lot of ways as well.
It's like you had those first 3 episodes to establish kind of the world and the formula and the main relationships. And then everything after that was he's a bounty hunter and he's trying to figure out what it means to be a dad and what it means to not do the bad thing every time, right? Now he's got a small life to care for. And it's like, we see, old characters from his past come back to haunt him as he's made these choices and diverge, right? I mean, I think we're still seeing more character development, but that's me.
Yeah, totally. So one thing that I think might be going on, and I definitely feel the influence from the larger structure of Disney. I mentioned it felt like a little bit like a Saturday morning cartoon, and that's definitely aimed more towards the family, kids. You don't have these crazy expectations. You can just have a fun show every week doing something interesting, and you don't really have to get into too many of the weeds and story connections that we usually talk about, Andy. So I think that's definitely a deliberate decision. I'm not mad at it. It's just a decision that is obvious that they're making. So I'm glad people are accepting it. So we'll see.
Anyways, Tracy, you want to continue guiding us through this?
I think that the spider section was too scary to be a family. Do you think that the spider section may have been too scary for it to be considered a family episode, though?
I mean, I don't think so. There's no actual gore. It is creepy. If you don't like bugs, it's not going to sit well with you.
I guess it's no worse than Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Harry Potter is pretty intense.
I mean, if you go back, there are some little. Yeah, I mean, I know we're in a different place right now, but things like Poltergeist and going way back there. There's the horror level, I think, for kids and I think this was totally okay. Nobody really got hurt and dragged away, screaming for their lives or whatever.
I will say
other shows that do much worse.
I will say that when Baby Yoda was rolling up on the little spider egg before we knew what it was, I was like, oh God, it's a face hugger. Baby Yoda's going to get a face hugger. Oh God.
Yeah, the spiders were okay with me. I like the fact that, and you mentioned this earlier, that this was a horror quote unquote episode. Coming right after Halloween, so we're still in that vibe a little bit. I totally appreciated what they did there. I kind of expect that a little bit from Star Wars every so often, where you get these little horror elements where, you've got some crazy monster or beast that they have to get away from, and it's usually off in a cave somewhere. So I dig it. Kids will dig it too.
I also really enjoy the stakes that are set up in this between, right? Like, okay, if you want to get really in the weeds, in terms of meta themes here, right? It's like, yes, we have the spider with its eggs and its whole brood of, hive of spiders versus the Mando and his baby Yoda and Frog Lady with her eggs, right? And basically all of them are trying to eat each other, whether it's baby Yoda eating the eggs or it's spider eating all of them, right? There is this whole kind of confluence of parenthood and protection happening.
I didn't even think of that. You just blew my mind.
Yeah, even to the whole setup of the X-Wings that came in the beginning. It's like, you are our food. We arrest guys like you. There's this whole capture and consume kind of thing. So it was really, that's a good point.
A catch and release.
Did you want to talk about Frog Lady a little bit, Tracy?
I would like to talk about it. Okay, so first of all, I raised chickens. I have eggs. They looked very much. They looked kind of like when you put chicken eggs in brine to save them. Or you know how you can do that? Like you can. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Yeah.
You can put
pickled eggs.
But not pickled eggs. Like you put like a whole raw eggs into a big jar with like pickling salt. Mm-hmm. Stuff, or it's not pickling salt, it's like lime, and you can store eggs that way and not refrigerate them. Anyway, so it kind of reminded me of that. So like the farmer in me was like, woo! But then it was also like a lava lamp, like an egg lava lamp.
See, I just saw Boba.
Happy.
I was just like,
oh, it did look like Boba.
Boba Fett. Hey.
I see what you did there. I love your puns. So what do we know about Frog Lady, right? We know she was in the first season. We know that the person who's personifying her is the same one who was Khalil in the first season, right? Maybe people don't know that. Maybe
Queel, who was our I Have Spoken guy from season 1.
Exactly. Who was voiced by Nick Nolte.
By Nick Nolte, yes.
Right? I don't know why. I felt like it was like him in the suit. And then speaking of...
I want to jump in on Frog Lady right quick.
Okay. You want to jump in on her? Go ahead.
We're about to move off of Frog Lady.
Wait. No. Oh, wait. Did you say jump in?
I told... See how I do? This is what I'm good for. I think I kind of wanted her to die.
Really?
I kind of wanted the Frog Lady. Yes, I kind of wanted the Frog Lady to die, and then Mando would have to pick up the eggs and take them back
and finish the thing. Oh, interesting. But he's already
because she was annoying.
That would be like a running. That would be like a running.
I didn't think she was annoying at all. I actually found her to be a fine, respectable character. I was just like, if this whole thing goes down and you're really going to go that horror route, I don't know.
Maybe she'll die in the next episode. Okay, can I tell you my theory about Baby Yoda eating the eggs? This is my theory. Okay, so first of all, he was sucking those things down. Like he wasn't really chewing them like he did the frogs and the spider baby, right? My thought was that because he when he first went up to the lava lamp, like they kind of like were force drawn towards him, and then he started sucking them down. And my thought was that he somehow knew that either she was going to die or like they, like something was going to happen to the rest of the eggs before they made it to their destination, or they were going to have to jump into light speed or hyperdrive to get there and the eggs would die, and that somehow he was actually protecting the eggs, and that like when all the eggs were gone, like and the frog couple was like, oh no, it's the last of our line. Baby Yoda was gonna be like, here you go. That's my theory. That's my theory.
Instead, we have kind of a vicious side of Baby Yoda, who, and that was like the really interesting thing. Like this is
it could still happen,
but this is like the first time we're kind of seeing kind of the downside of parenting with Baby Yoda, where Baby Yoda is kind of a dick. He's just kind of, he's just willfully sucking down the eggs, and like even to the point where Mando's like, no, I'm holding my finger.
None of us have kids, but I don't think you guys don't have kids, right? Anyway, okay.
I've had nieces and nephews. So,
right. Okay. So I take care of
like the compulsion to put things in your mouth. I totally know that.
Yes.
Like, stop putting it in your mouth.
And then what do they do? Because I take care of my niece and nephew for holiday, for like summers and winters. What do they do? It's like, take that out of your mouth, and they suck it in right away. They're like, just, because you can't take it out when it's all the way in their stomach.
And when you put it in the context of this is like the last of this poor frog lady's line, it's kind of disturbing.
That's why I think that Baby Yoda's trying to save them.
Go for it, Benja. What'd you say?
We'll have to check your theory with Twitter. We won't check it with Twitter.
Are we joking? We're not going to check.
Yeah.
Coming back to Frog Lady, I do find it really cool and interesting. We talked about Dee Bradley Baker before, but Dee Bradley Baker, who does a lot of animal sounds.
One second, Andy.
What?
Andy, 1 second before you get to Dee Bradley. I'm just wondering if everyone's looking in the chat, wondering if they should respond to this comment here audibly. That that Baby Yoda probably had some gnarly egg farts.
Was that a comment on the thing, or was that just Rodney?
So yeah,
the voice of Rod has spoken.
We try to chat with each other to make sure everything is on the up and up, and egg farts comes through the chat here. Frog Lady egg farts for the.
I mean, we did see him.
Go ahead, Andy. I'm sorry.
No, I was just I was I was just very cool to see that Dee Bradley Baker was the voice actor doing all the noises of Frog Lady. Dee Bradley Baker, who does a lot. I mean, he's all over the world in the world of animation voiceover. He also has some great online resources if you want to be a voice actor yourself. But he is probably best known in the world of Star Wars for being the voice of all the clones in Clone Wars. Of course, Captain Rex and Wolf and all of the guys that we know. He's also known, though, for a lot of animal. He's like one of like 3 guys who does all like the animal sounds in all animation. He's best known as probably one of his like well-known roles is Appa from Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's him.
That's pretty sweet. I wonder if they actually created a language, or if he just was just going.
I think kind of
like
more
does
like
do
that.
the words mean something?
Well, here's a sad that.
Taste good, you
Here's an angry.
All right. We digress.
So, Tracy,
okay.
Did you have I want to know about this ping thing you were talking about.
The ping thing? The what
Ping.
thing?
Yeah.
What's
We're
ping?
talking about the ping.
I didn't know that. I wrote
Ping.
that as a question mark. Like, what is the ping? Is the ping thing something I'm not remembering in Star Wars? I mean, I figure it's like a cell phone ping, right? But it was like they wanted to track where his ship had been. But is that a thing that they do in Star Wars or is this new? Am I crazy?
I'm still not what you're talking about. What ping?
Okay, so the New Republic X-wing pilots. the New Republic X-Wing pilots asked Jin to ping them. Remember, they were like, he was like, oh, I don't have that beacon because I'm a war, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, okay, great. Ha. By the way, we're going to need you to ping us. And he was like, oh.
I don't know specifically what the ping is, but that was all talking about that he doesn't have a transponder broadcast, right? So in a lot of different franchises, like even Star Trek, every ship has its own unique transponder code, which is constantly broadcasting. And that's how fleets are able to identify each other. I think this is something that's kind of taken from kind of naval ships that every vessel basically is sending out a code in whatever frequency that way all ships can kind of recognize one another.
Well, see, that's what I understand. I'm a Navy brat, but I just had never seen that in Star Wars before that I had remembered.
I mean, it makes sense.
And I was wondering, in their world, in this galaxy far, far away, like, is it because when of course, when they landed on the planet and rescued them from the spiders, they were like, oh, your ship is the one that's registered for saving this criminal but imprisoning these 3 criminals. So it's like, do they find that out from the ping, or is it I don't know. I was just a little confused. I
mean, I took that as they certainly have a registry of ships, whether they have a transponder code or not, right? So it's basically, actually, this is something that I kind of appreciated and enjoyed in a world building sense of, this is the first time we're seeing what happened to the Resistance or to the Rebel Alliance after they won. And all of these rebels and freedom fighters and, secret cells are having to get pushed into the role of administrators and, in this case, police. So here's some 2 hotshot rebel pilots who fought in the Great Civil War that are literally running plates on, on a road.
Played by Dave Filoni.
Yes.
The fact that you said running plates, see, that's where I start to get into, you're getting a little too specific when you start referencing things like frog, ping. There are these definite terms that we understand in our world or our galaxy, and then they start throwing them out there like ping. If they would have just said, send us your transponder code and stayed like that, it would have felt to me a little more in world. And then when you start saying ping, it's like, you mean the thing I used to do on Telnet to make sure a website's open? I mean, it's just an interesting choice. And I know people have discussed it in the writing room. So I don't know if that bothers you.
No, Benja, you're making exactly my point, is that in every Star Wars movie, we hear them say, identify yourself or your code, right? To get into places. But I've never heard them say ping, and it just threw me off completely.
Well, but this is also the first time we're seeing the galaxy under the New Republic rule, right? So in a more lawless time where there was the Outer Rim planets that the Empire did not have control over, and you had smuggler ships and stuff that did not have a well-known transponder code, or
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, so I found it completely normal that when he said, may the force be with you, and they said, and also with you, that would be an interaction that would happen. One, because Jin, when he is even in bounty hunter mode, he obviously is doing research on the bounties that we're not seeing, right? Because somehow he knows where to go, he finds them. Now, he may not have known about the Jedi before the armorer told him, but once she told him, he would have researched it, right? And he would have found out that term, may the force be with you. Oh, yeah. The New Republic pilots would have known that term because obviously Luke helped them win the Battle of Yavin and all of that, right? And they know who Darth Vader is and that he uses the force. So to me, that interaction completely made sense. But to a friend of mine who I was talking to, shout out John, he was like, they should never have, like, how would he know that term? How would they know that term? Like, what's, like, this is supposed to be like this ancient mystical, sorcery race that nobody really talks about anymore. And my feeling of that is, yes, before Luke found his powers, but once Luke found his powers, then it became like people knew about it again, right? Am I crazy?
I mean, I think there's a bunch of ways where you can read that, right? I mean, I think there's plenty of things that we say today that, like when someone sneezes and you say, bless you, it's just what you say. So I can see a world in which he doesn't know anything about the Jedi, but he still knows, may the Force be with you is something that people say to each other to be nice.
But he's trying to find the Jedi.
Saying Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
But he is trying to
Happy
actively
holidays.
find the Jedi to return the child to them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't know about the Force as a thing, right? I mean, even what's his name, the Imperial governor who was like, he still knows what the Force is, but he refers to it as an ancient religion, right? So he can still refer to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that didn't bother me at all.
Thank you.
All right.
But
Where are we
speaking
at
of them,
here?
who was the other one? So Dave Filoni played Trapper Wolf, right? Which he had the Wolf Pack logo from Clone Wars on his helmet.
Right.
But who was the other pilot?
So that is an actor named Paulson Kyun Lee. He is a Korean-Canadian actor who's probably best known for his role as Mr. Kim from Kim's Convenience, which is a sitcom. You can find it on Netflix, but it's based out of Toronto. This is also the same series where Simu Liu, who will be Shang-Chi in Marvel Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, got his start, shall we say.
But isn't he a massive Star Wars fan and cosplayer himself?
He is. If you go and search for his social media, there's a lot of photos of him with like 501st and various other cosplay groups. So I'm sure he's giddy.
I just love that he gets to fanboy.
A quick comment before we run off into the next section. Says we got a comment from Ring Capacity saying that the New Republic is a nanny state and a bit anachronistic. So, it's
not
it's
wrong.
A bit definitely out of its period, So, nanny state, that's kind of funny. I like that. Nanny eggs, the whole thing wraps in. Good comment there. I like that.
I will say that, that was kind of fun to, we had multiple callbacks to episode 6 from season 1. Of course, Dave Filoni returning from the last time we saw him was in episode 6. They also refer to the Razor Crest's track record, which are events from episode 6. And the reason why they let him go is because he attempted to protect Matt Lanter's character, who was the lone New Republic official or officer who was in charge of that prison ship.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, if you weren't paying attention, you would have missed that link, but it definitely was there and allowed for people who are watching to say, oh yeah, the 3 prisoners and the escape plan that they did. I've been watching and taking notes of the Mandalorian, so I recognize that. But I like the way it was written because even if you hadn't remembered that, you would say, oh, well, he's done some good here and there. So good job, Mandalorian.
They also had a little bit of a memory jog when Frog Lady uses the wreckage of Zero to translate for her.
That was great.
Yeah.
Do not be alarmed.
That freaked me out. I'm alarmed.
That voice kills me. I loved it.
What else we got here?
Okay, I'm just scrolling through my notes here. I mean, there's lots of things that we could talk about the spiders. Like, how did they spin so many webs inside the Razor Crest so quickly? I don't know. Their mouths on the mouths on the window. They were kind of like the little critters inside the stomach.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The little little bat things that eat the wires.
Right. Yeah. Didn't they kind of have those little like mouth suckers too?
They had like the mouth within a mouth, where it's like we open the mouth and there's just more teeth.
And it was kind of it felt a little bit like an Alien throwback, right? You even have oh no, not the Minox from that's what they were in the original trilogy. But so this episode between Amy Sedaris's Pelly looking like a Ripley knockoff to like the eggs in the cave, it felt like a little bit of like an Alien tribute.
Totally.
Didn't it?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, as soon as Baby Yoda, gets shooed away from the frog eggs and walks over to the little pod, I was like, oh gosh, Baby Yoda's gonna get a face hugger. Baby Yoda's gonna get a face hugger.
Yep. But anyway, and him walking around, I just love that. I love the practical effects and the fact that they use the puppet instead of CGI, because like I was saying when I was talking about my toy, like seeing his ears kind of like flap around on Jen's torso. Yeah, like they kept getting stuck and then being like boing, like that. I'm like, oh, like we wouldn't have that with the CGI. I mean, maybe they would recreate it, but it was just so you couldn't see that line there, and it's just so much better in my personal opinion.
So do we want to talk about the spiders a little bit? I think everyone's kind of talking about the spiders. That the design of the spiders are a callback to some original concept art from what Ralph McQuarrie for Empire Strikes Back. He had designed these characters called knobby white spiders that were going to appear on Dagobah. And these same designs have been used for a different character. They were called Krykna, that were used on the planet Adelon for Rebels. So if you remember, there was like a whole six episode arc called Mystery of Chopper Base, where they were having to deal with these spiders that look very similar. They are apparently a different species than this.
They are,
but they are very similar.
Knobby white spiders. I feel like that could describe me. I'm just a knobby white spider.
I'm a knobby white spider.
Well, I just watched that Doctor Who episode, The Arachnids, the one with the 13th Doctor in the hotel, and so I was like, I just have so many spiders in my life right now. I just can't get away from
fresh in mind.
I love spiders though, so I like it.
I will say, when I saw these spiders, and I did recognize them as being similar to the ones from Rebels, and it did make me wonder what planet we were on, because knowing that we are headed for a water planet coming up soon, and knowing that planet where they did Chopper Base was very close to, canonically, really close to Mon Cala, which we know is another all-water planet where the Quarrens and the Mon Calamari are supposedly from. And as we've seen in the trailers, they're on a boat sometime soon, so that's coming up.
All right, so this was an interesting episode in terms.
Well, we know they're heading to Trask next.
Yeah,
right.
So this was totally an interesting episode in terms of us being able to talk about the episode pretty much alone and by itself. I dug it, as I said, but it's just interesting that it's so contained within itself as an episode that we can talk about. So we'll see what they do in the other ones. I don't know if we have anything else to say on this one. Was there anything else you had?
I mean, for me, it is kind of just interested of where this is taking us to, right? I mean, kind of a meta comment. We now have seen maybe like 2/3 of all the footage in the trailers, which means the second half of this whole season is probably completely untouched footage that we haven't seen anything from. So that's kind of exciting. But
no, the boat stuff.
Well, that's what I mean, right? And the boat, if you look at that shot of the boat where Sasha Banks is spotted for the first time, Frog Lady and her husband and her bucket of eggs are there. So presumably that is the next planet and that is the next episode. At which point, who knows how much more footage is left that is not,
Cara Dune. Like we saw her and Carl Weathers walk out in the trailers.
Right. So we know we go back to Navarro at some point, and we know there's an Imperial base.
Oh, did you say that? Sorry.
Oh, no. I didn't. Right. So that's what I'm saying, is that's the inventory of all the footage that has been released publicly, is that's the only thing left, is shots from an Imperial base, shots from Navarro with Cara Dune and Carl Weathers. And we know they end up on the same planet with the Imperial base because they're driving that troop transport. So that's all potentially just one or two more episodes, possibly.
Yeah. So to your point, Andy, this episode may have done a good and necessary amount of world and character building, even from the little bits at the beginning to really setting up this relationship with, the egg lady, frog lady, pickled egg lady, whatever you want to call her. And so it may pay off in a way that we're not expecting. I'm all here for it. So I think that's it for that one. Let's move on to our last segment of the show, which is the squad reports. And that's what we're calling it for right now, because these are our questions, our reports from outside the field in Instagram, YouTube, social media, wherever people are sending us questions or posing comments to us. Theo H on Twitter, he asked something here. He says, the return of Boba Fett on The Mandalorian, good thing or not?
Is it really Boba Fett? We don't know yet.
We don't know yet, but I think we can pretty much take the clues, because between the fact that it's Temuera Morrison and the fact that they play the Boba Fett John Williams theme when they reveal him, I think it's a pretty safe bet. I'm excited, right? I mean, this is the thing that I've said before. When Mandalorian first came out, I looked at those first couple episodes and thought to myself, this was probably a Boba Fett pitch. And then executives said, Boba Fett was a villain character. Can we really center a show around a villain, or does it make sense for a character that we know as a villain to become sympathetic to this baby? At which point then you have to create a new Mandalorian character. That was my perspective. I don't know if I'm right or not, but I mean, The Mandalorian is essentially a spin on a Boba Fett show. So to bring in the real Boba Fett, it brings up either two options. One, a redemption arc for Boba Fett, or to set up Boba Fett as the ultimate nemesis for our Mandalorian, Din Djarin, which is a standoff kind of, I mean, we all want to see that standoff, right?
Yeah. That to me is more exciting.
Tracy, you're nodding over there, Tracy, the whole time. So you're digging this whole Boba Fett as a good idea.
I like the idea of him becoming the ultimate villain. That to me is more exciting than seeing him develop a conscience. I don't know why, but to me the idea of the of Jin going up against Boba Fett is gives me nerdgasms.
I mean, really, we could have our cake and eat it too. Because you could start off with he wants to steal back his armor, and then it becomes a thing of, the Din Djarin is recruiting Mandalorians to help him, find Jedi, and suddenly you have a redemption arc. You could get both.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good idea just in terms of, and this is me because I've been, reading sales and marketing books for the past month or whatever, but I think it's just a good idea to get people talking, to get people invested. There's so much mystery around it that we don't even know what it could or, may end up being, but there's so many different ways that it could go. So if we have as long as Boba Fett's in the mix, there's enough to talk about. It gets people interested. People aren't going to unsubscribe from Disney Plus because, hey, Boba Fett's here. Might as well hang around a couple more months and see what happens. So I think that's a totally good ploy, not just a garbage ploy that you throw away. And I really just think it works on a lot of different levels. The only bad place that it might go is, you're building up expectations and
Oh no, we lost Benja
Benja?
and my microphone. Okay, can I just say that I think this happened last time too at the very end.
It's
true.
I
would like
formula.
to vote for I would like to vote for a no armor, no clothing, no helmets, Jello fight between Tamora Morrison and Pedro Pascal. Is that cool? Like, can we do that as the penultimate battle? No, it's just me. Okay, cool.
I mean,
I'm going to start a letter writing campaign for that
Benja,
finale.
do you want to finish your thought that you before your internet protested?
No. I was basically just saying that it's a good idea to have them around, and it's only a bad idea if they're using it as bait and nothing else.
I also look at this in terms of, much like. So, okay, at one point in time, Return of the Jedi was my least favorite original trilogy movie, until a friend pointed out to me that Return of the Jedi is the only time we get to see a non-whiny Skywalker in all of Star Wars. At which point, you're right. Luke is an absolute badass in that whole movie, and it's the only time we ever see any Skywalker not whining his ass off. So, also, we've been hyping Boba Fett for so long, and we haven't really had Boba Fett as full-on badass. We've seen young baby Boba Fett. We've seen Boba Fett really smart tracking Han Solo. And we've seen Boba Fett go down like a chump and get eaten by the Sarlacc when a blind Han Solo just bumps him on his rocket pack. So there is also opportunity to redeem this character who everyone wants to be awesome. And have, an arc.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
I'm for it.
Good. So I think we're all in agreement there that Boba Fett being in The Mandalorian is a good thing. Seems like Disney's making good moves. Star Wars is making good moves. Lucas is making good moves. Good moves are happening all around.
Actually, speaking of Disney too, right? Speaking of Disney, speaking of Disney too, and good moves and going to your business and marketing thing, it's also in Disney Parks' interest to have more masked characters that are IP that is active.
Yes. So many ways.
That's the theater producer in you.
Yes, it is.
Well, cool. I think that does it for us this time. Unless anybody's got any last little farewell comments, we can go ahead and wrap up this one. We thank everybody for joining us. Make sure that you do check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and our newly created YouTube channel, and definitely on Twitch, because that's where we go live with these things, and that's where you're going to be able to get a lot of interactions with us. So all in all, we're having good with this. We want to keep on going. Send us your comments, questions, things we can improve on, things we should talk about, and get at us soon. I am Mr. Benja of the 8-Bit Cubist. You can find me at mrbenja.com. Tracy, where can they find you?
They can find me on Facebook at Hot Nerd Girl, Instagram at Hot Nerd Girl Official, Twitter at hot_nerd_girl.
Andy.
And I am at Chinese Pirate _ on Instagram, Twitter, and you can also and Twitch, and you can also find me on YouTube, Chinese Pirate Productions, and the Chinese Pirate on Facebook.
Excellent. So that wraps us up for this week, and want to remind you that the truths we cling to depend on our own point of view. That's a quote Andy asked me to add to the end.
You missed the last part.
Thank you, everybody.
Only the Sith deal in absolutes.
Yes. Well, there are two of them. I'll do the other one next time. That's it for us, everybody. I am good here. I think everybody's good here. So we will see you next time. Thank you.